Hi, I'm Andy. This is Python Puzzles. Let me demonstrate how Pycharm can help you easily create virtual environments. It's my favourite IDE for Python. It's the first IDE I use with Python, and it's got a few inbuilt features that just make managing virtual environments really, really simple. Okay, let's go ahead. So first things first, we need to download some code. So I'm just going to use puzzle 1, the link's in the description. Hit the code drop down, copy the URL, and I'll just use GitHub Desktop. You should have downloaded this software already. File, clone repository, go to URL, paste it in, check it's in the correct local path that you want it to be in. I'm saving everything in a Git repos folder in C drive. I'll repeat this almost the start of every puzzle. You'll get sick of this section as we go on. Click clone. Let's open up the Git repos, and there's the code. Okay. Now you've downloaded Pycharm, I hope. If you open up Pycharm, initially it's going to look like this. You want to click open, and I just want to kind of highlight here that you can refresh the folder that you've chosen just by opening and closing it. It said puzzle 4 before because I was working on that previously. Now it's puzzle 1, or you can just hit refresh here. Anyway, there's our code. Now an awful lot of you will be tempted just to hit the sort of folder containing all the puzzles, the repo folder where you're going to save all your code. I would advise against that, because whatever folder you choose here is going to open up like a virtual environment pop-up, and it's going to configure a virtual environment for that folder. So what you should do, what you might find it easier to do, is just to open each individual puzzle once at a time. That way in the left-hand column it will just display the puzzle rather than the repos folder with all your puzzles. So just select the puzzle folder, click OK. And here's this creating virtual environment pop-up. The location's asking you, what folder do you want to create this virtual environment in? I've just been calling it VENV because that's the virtual environment software that comes bundled with Python 3. There are other virtual environment softwares you can use, but that's what I've been using, so I've just been calling the folder VENV. You can call it whatever you want. The base interpreter is the version of Python that's installed in your system that you want to clone into the virtual environment. So I'm using Python 3.12. You can use whatever, but I think 3.12 is what I've done most of the puzzles in. The dependencies section is it's picked up the fact that there's a requirements txt. This is just a text file that lists all the requirements, all the dependencies for the puzzle to run, and it will just automatically install them all for you. So this makes it super simple. All you've really got to do is make sure you've got this folder name, and you want to make the folder reside inside the puzzle folder. You don't want it to be too buried or reside outside of it. You will get an error here if this folder is not empty. If this folder contains any previous virtual environment or any file at all, you'll get a red error here and it won't work. Let's click OK. And we can see in the bottom right hand corner it's doing stuff. It's installing packages from the dependencies. It's installing the version of Python. And there we go. And in the bottom right hand corner now, you can see that we're using this virtual environment. This is the system-wide version of Python. So in that virtual environment introduction I gave to you, this would be the purple square. This is what's available to the whole system. If I was to choose this, anything installed from now on would be installed for the whole system. I don't want to do that. I want a different virtual environment per puzzle. And it's good to do this because we're simulating every puzzle being a completely separate program from a separate client, so they don't have their own virtual environments. So there you go. That's basically that's basically it from the start. You could, of course, go to File and open it from here. And if you'd chosen a new puzzle folder, it would also give you the environment pop-up, as long as you choose the puzzle. So if puzzle 2 was here, or puzzle 3, you could choose that, click OK, and it would give you the same virtual environment pop-up. You can also go down here and click Add New Interpreter, Add Local Interpreter. This takes you to this sort of builder, and you see we've got this error here because it's kind of notice we've got a VENV folder in there already, and it contains files. We've already made a virtual environment here, but we could make another one. We could make another one in a different puzzle. Just choose your location. You could go in here, choose puzzle 2, make a VENV folder, choose your version of Python. That's one way to make a virtual environment. I'm going to highlight to you now, if you go to File and Settings, you get this complicated menu. Have a look at the menu item that will be Project, and then it will have whatever your project is. So this is what I've called Puzzle 1. If you open that up, you have Python Interpreter there. This lists the dependencies installed in this virtual environment. This is the place you come if you want to delete virtual environments. It's hidden a bit, so it's File, Settings, Project, and then whatever your project name is, Python Interpreter. And then you would click this drop-down menu. It would list everything all the virtual environments you've got in the system version, but you'd click Show All to see them all, and then you could delete them. So I could right-click here and go Remove Interpreter. Click Apply. So that's me deleted the virtual environment. And you'll see how it's in the bottom right-hand corner now. It's gone. It's not here. But it's still, this VENV folder still exists, and this has still got all the virtual environment configuration files. So if we were to recreate this using File and Open, we'd have to delete everything here. Just get rid of it. File, and then you could, well, you could select Open if it was a new project. We're already in this project, so we could just go down here and add new interpreter, add local interpreter, and you see how it's renamed this. We could even call that VENV-2, whatever we want to call it. Choose our Python version. Now, unlike if you go through the file and the open, or the file and the open method, this won't pop up something that's going to look for requirements.txt to get all your dependencies. Ribbon should appear afterwards. That's going to help you install it. So let me just click OK. This is building the virtual environment. You see it's appeared in the bottom right hand corner. It actually looks like it's installed the packages. I was expecting like if I open main.py, yeah, there we go. So it's saying package requirements are not satisfied because we didn't use that virtual environment pop-up that automatically looked at the requirements.txt. So we can just click install requirements. It's telling you what they are. Click install, and it just does it for you. There you go, and it's created this, it's remembered this old VENV folder, so I can just delete that. Don't need that, it's highlighted red because it's nothing. So that would be how you sort of manage virtual environments using the IDE. That's the basic options there. You could also do it using the terminal. So if you click this button here, you get a terminal. Now, what I'm going to highlight to you first, I'm going to show you in a separate video in Windows and Linux of how to use the command line, but this is essentially the same as a command prompt or a PowerShell prompt. It is actual PowerShell. This is important because the commands are different between command prompt and PowerShell. If you click this drop down arrow, you can choose if it's going to be a PowerShell or a command prompt or a git bash if you've got git installed. Okay, so be aware that these are you will have different commands to manage the virtual environment depending on which one of these you choose. So I'm just going to demonstrate to you in the terminal here using Windows PowerShell. You can see here VENV-2, the virtual environment's active, but we're not in the correct place to use the commands to activate and deactivate it. If we do ls for PowerShell, that's like a list command and it shows you all the folders. So we need to change directory cd into our virtual environment, which we've called VENV-2 in this example. You might have just left it as VENV, whatever. cd in there, do another ls command for list. And then you have to go into the scripts folder. And inside there, if we do another ls command in PowerShell, I'll expand the window so it's easier to read. We have activate, several activate. We have a activate PowerShell 1, activate batch file, and then we have a deactivate. So we use activate to turn on the virtual environment and we use deactivate to turn it off. So there's, like I've said, there's differences in these commands between PowerShell and command prompt. In PowerShell, to deactivate it, you just type in deactivate and hit enter, and now the VENV brackets has disappeared. To activate it in PowerShell, it's /activate, and this is because we're already inside the scripts folder. If you are running this from another folder, you would have to type dot and then the path to the activate file. Is it activate or is it activate.bat? I can't remember. Let's hit enter. Activate will do. So that's how you activate and deactivate the virtual environment in the command line within Pycharm. Now, everything's already been installed for you in Pycharm, but if you're using the command line only, you would need to know another command to actually install stuff, because you'd have to know a command actually to create the virtual environment, and then a command to install all the dependencies. I'll cover that more in depth in our command video, but I just wanted to show you that this is how you access the command line. And again, we can choose command prompt, and you can see it's not PowerShell this time. So that's how you manage virtual environments in Pycharm. Super easy. I recommend just using the IDE. Everyone in YouTube is going to show you the commands, and they're useful, but there's lots of CDing and ls here, and I think it's just easier just to use the IDE, become comfortable with it. But like I said, it's like an additional requirement. You could also run everything just using the system-wide version. This is an absolute beginner's course, so there's not going to be that many dependencies. There's not going to be that many imports at the start. I mean, this is puzzle 1, there's no import. There's no import dependencies at the top or anything. There will be in other puzzles, but they're going to be very light, so you could probably get away with just running it in this and not worrying about virtual environments, but I really think you should. I really think you should just learn to do this and learn to do it properly. Okay, that's Pycharm. I'll kind of go over this at the start of every puzzle because this is my preferred method. Thanks for following along. Have a look at the other videos for Visual Studio Code and the command line.